magazine has just released images of the adult film actress Stormy Daniels, who's at the center of a legal drama, of course, we all know, involving the U.S. president and his former attorney. Now she's telling her side of the story, profiled in an upcoming issue with her lawyer, Michael Avenatti. The images you see here were shot by the iconic photographer, Annie Leibovitz. And, of course, there is now the iconic writer, Amy Chozick. You spent a lot of time with her. I have to say, it's a really fun read. You know, from one quote, you write, she is blunt, foul-mouthed, and funny. The question I have for you, is she also a feminist?
I asked her this, actually. I asked her if she considers herself a feminist, because clearly a lot of women have cast her in a feminist role. And she said yes and no. You know, she's definitely pro-women. She thinks women should be able to do everything that men can do. But she likes men. I mean, she said that she has a cadre of very close girlfriends in Dallas that she recently made. But she said before that, she really got along better with men. She didn't always hit it off with women. And she also, you know, likes when a guy holds the door open and pays for her bills. So she said, you know, yes and no.
I mean, it's interesting the way she has become an opponent of Trump. In one sense, she mirrors him so perfectly, doesn't she? You know, in one of the tweets after Michael Cohen pled guilty in court and implicated the president, her tweet was, how do you like me now? And it bears repeating. You know, when they had this alleged affair, she was in her mid-20s. The president was 60.
Right, right. I mean, she is very adamant that she's not part of the Me Too movement, and he didn't do anything to pressure her into having sex. But I do think that she, you know, has become sort of this perfect foil to him. I mean, she is also sort of a flawed public figure at this point. And she's, you know, also unabashed about, you can't humiliate her. And I think that's part of what has made her kind of so difficult for Trump to take on. She told me, being in the adult film business, it's not like I turned on Twitter and got called a whore for the first time. You know, she's sort of weathered a lot of attacks, a lot of sexism, a lot of harassment, and it's given her this kind of preternaturally thick skin that she uses now to take on the most powerful man in the country.
Yeah, I'm being called that on the internet. Welcome to the club.
Exactly.
Now, this is what fascinates me, though, is what is the end game? You've spent some time with her. You've spent a lot of time with other legal experts and everything else. What's her end game here? What does she want?
Well, I did ask her that, you know, where does her story end? And she said, you know, people keep asking me that, and it's very hard because I'm in the middle of it. You know, when you're in the middle of the storm, you can't, so to speak, you can't necessarily see what's at the end. I mean, she definitely wants to continue to pursue her civil suit. Michael Avenatti, her lawyer, has said he thinks the developments with Michael Cohen could allow him to depose Trump. I mean, which would be, you know, an enormous development. And so she's pressing on, but in a way, you know, you can't put this genie back in the bottle. I mean, she can't go back to just being a Stormy Daniels adult film star now that she has been cast as this chief adversary to Donald Trump.
Yeah, and we have to say she's been making the most of it, right? She's on tour, making a lot of money on that tour as she goes. I found it a little bit sad that she's not seeing a lot of her 7-year-old daughter, and she has a lot of security around her right now.
Yeah, I mean, something I wanted to get at in the story is what is the personal and psychological toll of being Stormy Daniels? And she's had a lot of death threats. They've had to change hotel rooms in the middle of the night when notes are slipped under doors. There's been suspicious packages left in her, you know, dressing room at clubs, and she has had to hire bodyguards, which have somewhat offset, you know, her profits. But yeah, I mean, and she can't be home. She said she can't be home in Dallas for too long, or people will show up at her house. I mean, she's had to hire a tutor for her daughter and homeschool her after someone tried to take her picture. I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah, I don't think anyone would believe her life if they could see it. Amy, thank you so much for some insight into all of this, getting behind the headlines, so to speak. If you want more on this article, and I highly recommend it, it's on Vogue.com.
Thanks so much for having me.